The birds are on one today. What? Hi guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel. If you've never been here before we even start, make sure you subscribe, make sure you press on that bell so you know when I next do a video. A bit of a tricky video this is why I decided to go outside and talk to you, because it's not something I just want to like jump onto my set and go, oh, I'm pagan. A lot of you guys voted on my community page to talk about this, and I think I'm now ready to talk about it. A lot of people have been asking me about my practices, and it's really hard to talk about in public. It's not even that easy to talk about in front of my family, to be quite honest, and my really closest friends. Valhalla come out on PS, Barbarians come out, Last Kingdom and everything. All of a sudden, people are asking me, is this what paganism is all about? No. It's fun, it's great fun. I'm a big Valhalla fan, I'm a big Last Kingdom fan, I'm a big Barbarian fan. It's not all blood and gore. Obviously I wasn't there, so I can't tell you the full blown story, but I can tell you what I know, and I'm going to tell you how I got into it all in the first place, which is what a lot of people are asking me at the moment. I got into it when I was 14. I was coming home from school and I was going through a really hard, rough time. I decided to get the bus assigned that day. Not many kids liked me in school, and you know, I was going through that horrible phase when I was a teenager, like, why me? Why does everyone hate me? I was literally waiting for the bus to come home from school. A couple of people from a different school decided to be really horrible and threatened to mug me. So that was fun. It's the road as quick as I could, and I just randomly ran into a shop. They looked at the shop, didn't look at it twice, ran off. So I was like, oh, okay, maybe I got help. So they ran off. So then obviously when I was like fully looking into the shop, I realised that's why the kids ran away, because the kids obviously clearly didn't like the look of the shop. When you go into a spiritual shop, a lot of people just sort of misinterpret it, kind of. Sudden, I felt at peace. I looked at all the crystals, I looked at all the incense, I looked at all the books, I looked at all the everything in that whole entire shop. That whole atmosphere in that whole entire shop made me feel at home, and I've never ever had felt like that for years. I felt that there was no other option, but we're not going to go into that because we're not going to be depressing. We already are going through quite a tough time right now. That's Boris Johnson chatting crap, and I'm going to call the other one Trump, because he just ain't quitting. Obviously she walked up to me and went, what on earth are you doing in here? I looked at her and she looked at me, and then obviously she could clearly tell that like I was running from something. From there I just didn't want to leave that shop. I had no idea it had anything to do with religious practices or anything. I was just so drawn to this shop, and I just felt for once in years felt peace. The lady was always friendly to me, but obviously she'd never let me buy anything unless I had my mum with me, because obviously I was under 18, so that was quite responsible of the lady to do, actually, to be quite frank, because you don't want your children to buy these things. They haven't done enough research, they don't know enough facts to actually buy these sort of things, because it's quite serious stuff, some of it. So obviously every single week my mum came in there with me, and I bought so many crystals, I bought so many books. This is the thing where like I get a lot of younger people asking me how they get into it. Just make all your research, just do tons of research. I did years of research before I fully committed to the practice. I call it a practice because you're always learning. Even in your 80s you're always learning, especially with like paganism, Wiccanism, all things. You're learning new things every single day. That's why I like it. You're always learning something new. It's not something that you read just one book and go, yeah, that's in stone, that's exactly how life has got to be. The shopkeeper had a conversation with my mum and said, okay, look, I'll serve her the stuff as long as I'll keep an eye on her, that's fine. Is that okay? My mum was like, yeah, that's fine, because my mum didn't want to keep going out. She doesn't even like going out anyway. I think my mum and some people in my family always knew that I was going to lead to that somehow, but I had no idea about any of it until I ran into that little tiny shop. Unfortunately that shop's closed down now, because obviously the lady got too old and she decided to sell, so obviously I had to find another place. So there was another place about 5 miles away from that shop, so obviously I became friends with quite a lot of people that owned the shop and worked in the shop and went to the shop. So obviously from there I decided, hey, I think I was meant to follow this way of life. Obviously you don't go to a church or anything to convert, you don't have to convert, you just you just do what you got to do, you know. You just have to start the practice. Like, that's the main important thing, that you start it. Those are the 2 key points that you should try. Well, you should do before you jump into something like this. It's like Christianity, it's like Islam. It is a way of life. It shouldn't control your life, but it is a part of your life. It found me. I didn't find the religion found me. I converted was, I just went home. My parents were traveling that time and my mental health was in bits. I wrote on a candle and I swore to, well, my main gods are Odin and Venus. Swore that I'd keep going on with this life, and I did that when I was 18. It's a bit of a confession that I've always been wanting to make. I had a boyfriend for quite a few years and he had no idea that I actually swore to the practice. He had no idea. I'm sorry. He was quite a judgmentally kind of person, especially like leering towards things like that. Like, he would mock me anyway. If you are in a relationship and decide to convert, be the better person and let them, just give them a bit of a memo. Just give them a little bit of a post-it. By the way, I'm following this life. Sun is coming. When I was younger, I just loved to be in the woods on my own. I collected things. I collected snails, I collected stones, I collected leaves, I collected twigs. And people used to think I was just a really weird kid, but I believe that I was supposed to do all that. When I was young as well, I've always been quite psychic. People are begging me to, like, you know, tell them how to get into it. You can't tell someone how to get into it. All I can say is make the right research before you jump into something like this, because it is a religion. It's not just a trend. Obviously, since like Assassin's Creed come out in November, Barbarians come out, Last Kingdom, Vikings on Amazon, loads of things. Since that's come out, a lot of people all of a sudden think it's like a fashion thing. Obviously, I love like how they're introducing paganism and that to a lot of things like this. It's not all about aggression, it's not all about violence, it's not all about Valhalla, it's not all about that. There's thousands of different spectrums of paganism. There's no sacrifices in it, there's no anything in that. I'm actually vegan, I don't eat meat. I haven't eaten meat for like 5-6 years. People think because I haven't got black hair and dress like a goth, and people assume that I wasn't into something like that. I think a lot of people do convert into this like all different ways, and obviously I'm not there, I'm not a priestess, I can't tell you how to jump into something like this. If you look back in all religions, they're a lot more barbaric than they are nowadays. What a lot of people have got to understand, if you're watching like Viking-y kind of series, programs, films, movies, playing the games, I think like you have got to understand that like that's from like thousands of years ago. Don't use Satanism into it as an excuse, because a lot of people are like calling Satanism paganism, and that really me off massively. To be honest, we're actually quite peaceful people. The worst thing a lot of pagans do is eat meat, and that's it. You know, you do get Norse pagans that actually go hunting for their own food still, but that's not me, because obviously I don't eat meat. I always wanted to know about it a little bit when I was 14, and I actually got screamed at by my teacher. I asked, why is it kind of Norse religions and faiths and that put into it? I didn't know what other way to come up with it, because obviously not a lot of people would understand it, and he actually yelled at me because obviously he's Christian. So I'm not against Christians, I'm not against any other religion. Most of my best friends are Muslims and Christians, and you know, if they don't accept you, that's their own fault, that's their own choice, and that means that they're not supposed to be in your life. But just respectfully, go separate ways, respectfully. I've got a couple of messages on Instagram about like their parents are not accepting it or whatever. I think you shouldn't really push your parents into it, and just sort of do it quietly in your room under your bed, or like a little safe space, you know, and you do your practices there. A lot of people say, but you celebrate Christmas. Actually, we have a Christmas kind of called Yule, so that goes on for up to a month sometimes, depending on the moon cycle and stuff. Obviously, I believe there's gods everywhere. Like, where would the stories have come from? I'm quite an open-minded person. When it comes to Christmas, I just use it as an excuse to see my family and just have loads of food and booze. People have asked me, if I'm pagan, do I drink? Yes. We're big drinkers, unfortunately. Christmas Day, no matter what faith or whatever background you come from, you should always just use it as an excuse to be with people and be with your loved ones and family. I wasn't meant to be like my family at all, by the slightest. They know that I'm the odd one out, and I actually am so glad that I am like that. That was a sign as well that I was meant to follow something like this and follow this path. I hate it when people go follow this path, because there shouldn't be just one path. There's thousands of paths in life you can choose or take, and if you don't like it, you can go back, you can go left, you can go right. I hate the path of life. Another sign that you probably would know that you're meant to be in a practice like this is nature. you love being outside, you love nature, you love animals. I kind of sometimes feel as well animals understand me more than people do, and that's another sign that you were meant to do something like this. I loved old-fashioned things since I was little, and I've always believed that I'm an old soul. I believe I've lived 3 times, so there you go, but that's another video. And a lot of people are asking me about altars. Don't actually have to have an altar. It's something you want and you will do. Don't have to spend thousands of pounds on these things. I actually just have my goddess there, my candle, my incense, or my wax milk, because a lot of time incense is just a bit too much for my lungs, especially when I had COVID. Like, incense absolutely kills my lungs at the moment. Yeah, so as you see on my altar, it's just my goddess, who I follow, which is Gaia, my prayer beads, which I made by my own hand, my calling, it's not your calling, and whatever you want to do. A lot of people that I see on YouTube as well all are in groups. I actually ain't in a coven or a group at the moment. I've never been in one. I've only been to local shops whenever they do Samhain gatherings, which is like Halloween, Yule and stuff. Like whenever the shops do something, obviously I bring a couple of my friends that are a bit intrigued with me, and we just have some mulled wine and we buy some crystals and stuff. Yeah, so I'm not actually in a coven. Like a lot of people ask me, am I in a coven? No, you don't have to be. I wouldn't probably make pagan videos all the time. Like I said, my channel is just my life and my growth. Like, it's not just ever going to be a weight loss channel. It's never going to be a spiritual channel or a hinging channel. It's just all parts of me, all put into one on this channel. So yeah, you probably might get a couple of odd, you know, Samhain videos every now and then, your videos, or whatever you ever want me to do. Always write to me, because it gives me ideas and I really appreciate those ideas. I'm not the right person to go about with as being a religious expert. It's not easy to talk about, because this is a really personal part of my life, so it's kind of nice that I'm talking about it. I've come out in the open air and I'm talking about it, you know, I'm in with the woods, I'm in with the nature, talking about it. And to be quite honest, like, a lot of people ask me about my practice. Some practice is even as simple as just going for a walk in the woods. You're already in where you're supposed to be, in nature. And it is a nature-based religion. It's all run by 4 different seasons, and it's run by 4 different parts of life and 3 stages of life, and the most simplest way to interpret that is in the woods. This is kind of like a weird video to say I am pagan and I am proud, and if anybody wants to ask me for any advice, I can give you all the advice that I can give, but the most important thing is make sure, if you want to follow this way of life, make your research and don't just jump into it just because of the trend of it or the fashion of it, and don't necessarily jump into it for the wrong reasons. Go to a spiritualist shop, look around, ask the lady in there, I want to go into it, what's the best way you suggest? There's no right or wrong way of jumping into it, but you've got to think of the right appropriate way. And also, don't just like look at, you know, Last Kingdom and things like that and go, yeah, I really want to be like that. Because no one's been like that for like thousands of years. Yeah, if you're a youngster and you still live at home with your mum and dad, if you do it quietly and kind of like introduce a tiny little bit into it and just say, hey, by the way, I really love this, I really believe in this, I'm really passionate about this. A lot of the time they're quite acceptable, but obviously I know there are a lot of parents out there that people are quite scared of, like they're Christian or they're Catholic, then they're a little bit more stubborn about it. If that's the case, I would just do it quietly, respectfully. You are still living in your parents' house and they did give you life and they do shelter you and they feed you, so don't ever fall out with them because of it, because that's not religion's supposed to be about. We're in the 21st century where religion shouldn't be a reason for anyone to fight or to be any wars going on anymore, but unfortunately a lot of the time it does still happen, and hate crime does still happen, and actually I hear all the time there is actually a lot of pagan hate crime, but it's never spoken about. I think because of things like that, I think a lot of people sort of shush it away thinking it's all just fantasy and fiction. It's actually not. Paganism goes thousands of years behind. You don't have to spend thousands of pounds into this kind of religion. You can go in your back garden, you can go in a local forest and pick out things for yourself. You can make runes out of sticks and twigs. A lot of people have been asking me, where did I get my runes from? I actually bought my runes online because I'm a big rose quartz addict. Obviously, you know, I am a huge crystal addict, and surely that might have giving you the tip. And also, like, a lot of people say to me, oh, is your religion to do with your tarot reading or room reading or anything like that? No, it's not. It is kind of in the practice, like a lot of people say and are about, but it's not necessarily like an essential to do. You don't have to like get into that to be part of the faith, really, to be honest. Let's put this on black and white here. A lot of people said that their partners are Christian, they're Catholic, and you don't know what to do, you're meant to follow this life or be Wiccan or whatever, and if they really loved you, they'd stay with you no matter what, as long as you're not harming anyone. The most important rule of this religion is, as long as you're not hurting anyone, you can do whatever you want, as long as you're not hurting any other living thing or upsetting any living person. So, you know me, I'm a bit of a shopper, and a lot of people as well, it piss off for the people that always think just because I'm really girly and I wear makeup and stuff that I'm not like this. Always expect the least expected in people. Always like take everyone with a pinch of salt, because you never know what you're gonna get. So weird. Obviously, you know that I'm not my crazy, hyper, irritating self at the moment, because this is a part of my life that's so quiet. I'm not a priestess. I can't tell you exactly what to do, but I can give you the best advice that I can give you, that I've learned through my experiences in life and that I've grown from. The most important thing, like I've been saying 1,000 times, make the right research. If you sit there and you think, I don't think that's right, don't do it. Coming out of my family was actually quite hard. Like, my friends were really accepted with it, and a lot of my friends now, they're really into it. They always are quite interested and quite fascinated into it. Yeah, this is me, and obviously I'm still the same Chloe. I'm just a lot more quieter at the moment because, you know, there are people walking around here in public. This is a public space, so people already think I'm mad already. You know, you think jumping into religion and being someone's follower will make this kind of situation better. Unfortunately, viruses and diseases have always been there. It's a dis-ease. There's always going to be imbalance in any planet. If there was a way we could wave our wands to stop it, we would. But obviously, at the moment, I think this kind of time is here to teach us, and we've got to learn from it. And a lot of the time you find yourself in this kind of situation. Like, when people are so horrible to you about something for who you are and what you believe in, a lot of the time it's so much reflecting more on them than anything. And I learned that a couple of years ago when some of my family wasn't very nice to me, and then I realised that they had probably hundreds of issues with themselves. And that's one thing that you've got to learn. A lot of time, don't ever stop believing in something just because someone bullies you out of it. Always believe that that's a reflection on them, and that's so much more on that person than yourself. The most important thing as well, to recognise that. God, it took me 30 years of my life to actually discover that. It was even so simple. A lot of kids picked on me when I was younger, and I've realised now it wasn't because of me. It was just so much a reflection on them, their circumstances, not yourself. I'm in that kind of religion, same as Islam, that gets turned away and gets judged so quickly. We're quite friendly people, and please don't judge. If you have a loved one that says that they really are into it, don't judge them. They're still that person that you love and care for deeply. That shouldn't change them. If it does change their personality, then they're following it for the wrong reason. You guys know that I really love you, and I just want to say I'm so grateful for the newer people that are coming in as well. It's just, this family's growing so fast, more faster than I thought it was going to be, and I'm just so happy that everyone's so nice and so sweet, and everyone's supporting each other on the Cambridge, everyone's supporting each other about this, and I want it to be an escape for everyone, no matter who they are, no matter how old they are. I want them to feel that they can come here to escape. A lot of people always say, but you're so girly and you're this and you're that, and I think personality shouldn't really be in religion, to be honest. The best person that you can be, the most kindest person and the most open-hearted person you can be, and that's the one thing that I've learned the most. A lot of people ask me, are there any celebrities out there that are? Yeah, big fact. Big. A lot of celebrities you look at nowadays, you wouldn't even have a clue. Anywho, I need to get home. I know it's a little bit of a different video, and this is what you asked for, and I've done the best I can. I am who I am. I always have been. I'm still that annoying shopaholic YouTuber that shouts a lot and says the wrong inappropriate things. I'm still always that person. I'm always going to be that person. I'm going to be off because my butt is freezing. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope it's opened your minds a little bit. Please do not forget to subscribe to this channel and make sure you press on that bell so you know when I next do a video. There's lots of people around you that love you. Whatever your decision is or your choices, or you're thinking about jumping into it, always know the people that really love you will stand with you. Don't be too scared, and don't rush. Life's not a rush. Life is a long lesson, loads of different paths, and that's how you've got to see it as, because otherwise There's no fun in life. Anyway guys, I'm gonna see you in the next video. Bye.